fishing, it's in my soul.
Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
How do you speak to God? Is he even listening? How the heck do you know? And how do you know when you hear from him? Hey, everybody, Joe Simons, like diamonds, Salt Strong Unchurched. We're back again. And wow, I have been bombarded with different types of questions along these lines over the last month or so. I have that video that I put out about the 3 secrets to overcoming anxiety attacks once and for all without using drugs. And I believe it's up to like 250,000 views, and it's just exploded recently. And I was in a recent C12 meeting, that's that Christian business leader group that I'm a part of, and we were talking about just overall mental health of ourselves and of our employees. And, you know, many times, the same reason that I was embarrassed to post that video, the first one I deleted, I was so embarrassed to have that out there about me just being just vulnerable, right? And being honest that I couldn't get over these anxiety attacks for many, many years, well over a decade. And we talked about the fact that over the last year, 41% of adults in the workforce experienced either like severe depression or severe anxiety, meaning anxiety attacks. 41%. That's crazy when you think about it. I guess it's also good. That means if you're in that 41%, it's almost like one out of every other person. You mean you're not alone, right? And just like that video, I mean, we did not publicize that. That was not a video that we emailed out. I didn't really want people to see it. I was kind of ashamed by it, right? And I just put it out there. I felt like God was calling me to put that out there. And, you know, now 261 or whatever it is, 250, 60,000 people have watched that thing. And who knows how many over the last couple of years have reached out to me. But I feel like I'm getting one a day, if not more. I mean, just last night I had 2 this morning when I woke up. A lot of people are looking at it at night, and I feel like I get my emails in the morning. And this one issue that I continue to keep hearing over and over again, and if you don't know the 3 secrets, I'll just kind of tell you in broad terms what they are. One is breathing, and most people get that, and that helps out immediately. That is one of those that helps you sleep better. You can't be anxious if you're calm, right? And so what's a great way to be calm is to practice super slow breathing to the point you're almost putting your body into a deep sleep. That's great. That's kind of a short-term fix. Like, you know, I mean, you can still have anxiety attacks, and that's just something used to kind of calm you back down. And what I found over my 14-year experience with daily anxiety attacks, that the breathing was incredibly powerful, but it wouldn't make it go away, where I just wanted to beat it and conquer it. And I found the other 2 parts of this were a mission, you know, having something you get excited for every single morning, something that just gives you burning desire to do it and to fulfill it. It's a goal, right? It's something you believe that you're put on this earth for. And then that always caused a little bit of questions. And I've done a few podcasts on that as well. If you haven't heard those, then you could search for anything with mission or purpose, and those will come up. But this third piece is on faith and having a relationship with God. And for many years, I did not. I would still call myself a Christian, obviously. And I think even a lot of my friends and my family would probably call me a Christian, but I wasn't really giving my life to God. And I certainly wasn't speaking to him every day. Like I do today. And the relationship was there when I needed it. It was a convenience factor, if you will, right? And then maybe that's you. Maybe that's a lot of us. And so I'm hearing from all these people who are just hurting, and my video gives them hope. And that's what I love about it. It gives them hope. But you still got to do the things, if you will, meaning you still got to define your purpose and write it down and get excited about it. And then you have to have some kind of relationship. That faith piece, it took me the longest, but it was really the most critical. it all of a sudden got me into just a different mindset of, you know what, God, you're putting me through this for a reason. You're letting this happen. And it turned out to be one of the better things I've ever gone through. It was brutal, just like muscle gain or anything. It hurts, but it's how you grow. It's how you get stronger. And now I'm stronger than ever before. And I'm able to relate with so many people who are going, 41%. Right, we have 20 employees at Salt Strong. And that means out of the 20, 8 or 9 approximately are going through anxiety or depression. I know at least a couple people on my team that have flat out told me, and they've watched my video and needed some advice. And then once again, it's somewhat good news in that we're not alone, and we're fighting this together. We're not just some anomaly like that. We're one in a million who's dealing with just anxiety and a little bit of fear and the fear of the unknown and just all the craziness that we're dealing with in this world. But at the same point, it saddens me that so many people are having to deal with this. That's a crazy high number, much higher than I ever thought it would be. And so let's circle back to the question at hand here. How do you talk to God? And I'll be honest, the first time someone asked me that, I reply pretty quickly on emails. I got a lot of emails. I can't sit there and spend an hour on each one. And so I reply pretty quickly, and I was stumped. I was like, oh, how do I explain it? And I guess, the easiest way for me is to say, hey, speak to him and listen and wait. But that's not really helpful, right? It's like my son, he's learning how to tie his shoes at 5 years old, right? And it'd be like him asking, hey, Dad, how do I tie my shoes? I don't know. Just keep doing some loops and eventually you'll figure it out. It's not really helpful. You kind of need to give him a step-by-step process and walk him through it a few times. So let's do that. Let's walk through the steps on talking with God, having a relationship with God, and hopefully, feel like you're hearing back from him and you're making some progress. I do want to relate it to tying shoes because I do know that you will probably fail at first, right? The good news is that God's always there for you. He's always listening. He constantly wants to have God, Jesus, they're dying to have a relationship with you. Joel Osteen on a recent podcast I was listening to him, he was like, you know what? We have a God who will stoop down, and that's not a negative, it's a positive, meaning he will stoop down to the lowest of lows to be with you. Regardless if you're in prison, regardless of what you've done in your past, you might be thinking God's way up here, and he is, and he doesn't want anything to do with you. No, he will literally stoop down and scoop you up and love you no matter where you are in life, no matter what you've done, no matter what sins it is. Jesus died for our sins, and our God is literally just dying to have a relationship with you. And that's really, really exciting, because that means he's always listening. He always wants to hear from you. And at the same point, it can be awkward at first. I know, because it was awkward for me, right? It's awkward for me the first time I said a prayer out loud in front of other people. I'll be honest, it's not easy for me, right? It's still sometimes awkward when I just don't have the words. And you hear some people and some pastors, it just flows out of them so easily. And guess what? It's because of practice. It's the same reason you and I can tie our shoes so quickly, and yet a 4 and a 5-year-old struggle, even though it seems so simple for us. Like, how can't you get this? 2 little loops and a swoop and a pull. And yet they don't get it right away. They have to practice. So know that it might be a little bit weird, and you might tie your finger up in your shoelace once or twice as you're figuring this thing out. And just like having anxiety or maybe feelings of depression, it's not just you, it's other people as well. So you aren't alone. So I just want to throw all that out there first. But let's kind of really talk about the crux of this is how do you talk to God? And the answer really is just speaking. And I would personally get into a quiet place. I would personally try to go outside. I felt like my most meaningful and powerful kind of conversations with God, where I truly feel like all of a sudden, no lie, like things where all of a sudden wind out of nowhere comes and just hits me. Like spooky. It's getting me goosebumps talking about it right now. I've had multiple instances like that where I'm out in the field. I've been out. I did a podcast there in Georgia. out in this little deer stand, and all of a sudden, I mean, you could hear the wind picking up in my microphone while I'm talking. It wasn't there before. I feel the presence. I feel like there's something happening and someone listening. And that doesn't happen every single time, I'll be honest, but there have been times, and it's usually always outside, where there is just this presence. There is something like that happens. And a lot of times it's wind or this, I mean, one time a bald eagle going, like literally dipping down right in front, like where did that sucker come from? I don't know. I just feel like, wow, like what just happened here? I've talked about the deer before, where all of a sudden I've had deer just appear out of nowhere, while talking to God. But I will be honest, none of that happened right away. Just like I didn't tie my shoelaces the very first time I tried them. But the best way to become an expert is to practice. And when I say practice, once again, that means go into a quiet area or get outside in an area where you don't have a bunch of distractions. That means turn your phone off and actually just speak. The same way if it was your father and you needed something or you're struggling with something, and just talk. It can be out loud or it can be in your head, but it literally is that simple. I mean, this is not something where you have to go into a church and be on an altar on your knees and your hands together, cupped up, raising to the sky. That can certainly work. But to me, the best conversations I've had have not been in a church or up on an altar. They've actually been usually outside, me just having a one-on-one conversation like it was my own true father, meaning my blood father, and just having a conversation about things that I'm struggling with, things that are on my mind, people that I'm praying for, things that I'm praying for in my life to get better or to improve or to have more vision on, right? I pray for wisdom all the time. I think, if you look in the Bible, some of the people who were the most blessed, like Solomon, I mean, literally could have asked for anything. And what did he ask for? He asked for wisdom. And we've heard stories of Solomon and how wise he was. And God continued to bless him. He didn't say, God, I just want $1 billion. I want to have more gold than anyone. He did get all that, but he literally just said, I want wisdom, man. So I pray for wisdom all the time. I think, I think praying for other people is super helpful as well. When you do speak to them, it can't just be all about you. There will be times when it's all about you. There'll be times when you've hit rock bottom and you truly need some help. But I would pray for other people. Anything that's on your mind, I would just start speaking and see what happens. I think you'll be shocked. Just like you'll be shocked at how quick you can ride a bike or tie your shoelaces if you just start practicing and making a habit of doing it. Now I'm to the point I do it every single morning and every single evening. We do it with our kids, and it's wild. It's magical, and we've had some really, really special moments. But I want to reiterate, just like you can't tie your shoelaces the first time or ride a bike the first time, it takes some practice. I didn't have those crazy moments, and maybe it's because I wasn't ready to hear from. Maybe I was thinking I was going to hear from someone else, or I'm going to hear a voice in my head replying back. That's most likely not going to happen, but you'll know when you hear. There's been times, like I said, a chills or a special wind. I mean, things like that absolutely happen. Or many times that prayer is just answered, not on my time, but on his time. Maybe it's a connection that I needed the very next day. Sometimes it's not, but I mean, many times I've been praying over something and sometimes even thinking, man, is God even listening? And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, whatever I've been praying for just completely materializes in front of my face, sometimes put on my lap. And I'm just like, wow, he has been listening to every single word I've been saying. And maybe it's better off on his time and not my time, not about me. And I'll tell you, God's timing is perfect. I struggle with that for so long, but it is so perfect. And it's so cool how he does bring all of the right people, all the right opportunities, all the right wisdom and the vision for you at the exact right time. So to reiterate all this, if you're having any problems talking to God, I'm guessing, my guess is just from some of the emails and stuff I've received, is you haven't even started. So step number one is just start, and then talk to him like an ordinary person, right? I know it's God Almighty, but you don't have to talk in lawyer speak. You don't have to talk in gibberish. You don't have to talk in art thou and things that you've maybe seen elsewhere. Talk like it's your own dad. And if you needed something from your own dad or your mom or just someone that you love, talk to them just like that. And see what happens, and then continually do it. Just like I can't tell my son to practice his shoelace once. You got to do it every day, son. Let's keep doing this until we get it. And all of a sudden it's going to click one day. And all of a sudden he's going to be like, man, I can't believe I thought this was so hard. Now I can do it in my sleep. And that will happen to you. So I would urge you to start somewhere. Start somewhere in a quiet place. Start doing it today. Why wait? Don't put it off till tomorrow and don't say, I'll do this later. And do it twice a day. I really do it. I thank God every morning that I wake up and I still got breath, still alive. And I do it in the evening that tomorrow, thank him for that day, that tomorrow is going to be amazing. And, watch over myself and my family and people on my prayer list. And it's amazing the things that God has done in my life ever since I've had that connection with him and I'm speaking to him. I mean, no different than if it was your own father. And if you hadn't talked to your own father in 2 or 3 years and never really paid attention or thought about him, that's not a great relationship. It's a tough relationship. And you're just like your real father probably still loves you and probably still thinks about you. Like, man, I wish they'd just reach out. I'm telling you, you can have an amazing relationship in a really short amount of time, just like every story in the Bible where the son comes back after screwing up. Every single time, it's been a father who has been absolutely forgiving and not judging and just excited that their son came back. So that can be you, regardless if you're a son or daughter. There is a God. He's dying to hear from you, dying to have a better relationship with you. And it all starts with a prayer. So give it a shot. I'd love to hear any and all feedback on this. If you have more questions, especially if you're listening to this and you're someone who's been writing me about it, I'm sure I missed a few things, but I also want to just keep it super simple because it's so simple. It's not that complicated. You don't have to doing quotes out of a Bible. You don't need a manual. Just pray on what's on your heart. Talk to him like you would your own father. And ask, for forgiveness. Start there. If you've done something bad, that it's maybe there's a guilt trip. Ask for guidance and favor. Ask for vision and wisdom. I think that's something we should all be doing in our life. So hope that helps. And once again, hit me up if you have any thoughts, any questions. Joe at saltstrong.com. Love you guys, and we'll talk to you on the next episode.
'Cause fishing, it's